Hi, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Thank you guys for being here. Yes, I'm getting my coffee because we definitely have quite the read. Welcome, everybody. Shout out to everybody coming through. I don't know if notifications went out, but let me let the people know that we are live. Hold up, y'all. Let's see. I didn't even announce we were live and we were doing a long live this morning. That wasn't a good job of me at all. We live now. Shout out to everybody. Welcome. Thank you. Thank you. For those that are coming through. How you doing? Hey, Paz. Hey, Tony. Hey, everybody. We are back. And we are back. Shout out to everybody. I hope you guys had a good I don't know, afternoon rest or something. I'm not really sure. I got my water. We got to read. We definitely got to read. So for those that are like new, or at least you're like, okay, what's this live going to be about? There was a witness today. Hold up, y'all. Let me move this camera. There was a witness today in court, and she basically, so you had Nash, Dion Nash, and then this witness came through. Her name is Mia. Okay, she is a anonymous witness that we know in the Diddy trial. She gave her direct examination, her cross testimony, whatever you want to call it, her testimony today. Was interviewed by the prosecution, by the government, and apparently, some people. I want to be very careful because I know, like, the court had asked, she can't be identified, so we're just talking about her answers and we're going through it. But I want to make sure that we're very careful because I know that it's kind of getting to this point where people are wanting to kind of find out who people are, and I'm sure people will find out who she is. I don't know if they do. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not gonna be looking for that. I've heard, and I know I brought it up last time. I was like, I wonder who she is. You go, yeah, I think she is. But based on how she was acting in court, it sounds like she was really struggling when she was testifying, and I want to be mindful of that. And apparently, a lot of reporters had noted that too, that she was struggling, that there was a point where she was whimpering. There was a point, and I mean, they couldn't really see her. But people, I guess some people online had said that they had seen her. But, this is a person that worked for Diddy. She was an employee of Diddy. And, man, went through some of the craziest shit. Okay. Um, in general. And I will say, like, oh my God, like, even here, and I left, I want to say maybe 35 minutes before the court was done, because I had to go. But my understanding is that she started talking about her essays with Diddy. So her essays with Diddy were brought into the criminal court. Okay. I think that's important to note. But we do have her transcripts. So we're going to review them and we're going to read them now. So shout out to everybody, guys. Do me a favor, hit the like button, please, and thank you. And first of all, shout out to everybody that supported for transcripts and everything, because y'all, like, I really appreciate it because it gives us a different insight. But if we're not going to get through all of this, so what I typically do, and I've been doing this, is I'll read a little bit and then I'll do a pre-recorded about it because I have to balance my schedule, y'all. And then I get up in the morning early and we do court. Yeah, I'm only a one-person show, so I'll do my best to stay on task, if you know what I mean. Okay, let's get it together. Everybody come through. And I'm not really looking at the chat when I'm reading because I'll get distracted. But let's do this. Okay. So Deonte Nash, excuse me, not Deonte Nash had already left the court, and they called the next witness. Okay. Next was the next witness is Mia, okay? And we are starting with direct examination of Mia. Let me highlight this so I know. Page 94. Okay. And this is May 29th. And this was, I want to say, afternoonish, morning, late after morning, I guess we could say that way, because she was testifying before they went to lunch. So let's go. And she is being direct examination by Miss Smizer, okay, for the government. Good morning, Mia. Good morning. Could you please state and spell the name for which you are testifying under? MIA. You have asked to testify under a pseudonym to protect your privacy. Yes. I'm going to show you what's been marked for identification as government exhibits 3T-113, just for the witness only. The court says, Ms. Comey, is there an issue? Ms. Comey says, I just want to make sure that the screen in the overflow rooms are turned off for this exhibit, Your Honor, only. Court says, can I ask the deputy? Okay, so they're trying to figure out the logistics of this, trying to keep her private. The government asks, do you see that, Mia? Yes. Do you recognize this? Yes. What is it? My passport. Okay. That is offered into the government's exhibits. Mia, is the name on this exhibit your true name? Yes. Is that date of birth on the exhibits your true date of birth? Yes. And before we move on, could you please display that for the jury only? Mr. Steele, may I ask a question, Your Honor? Court says, you need a sidebar? Or just ask a question in open court? I believe so. It's not our monitor either. Court says, yes, that's correct. Do you need to see it? Mr. Steele says, I would like to. I know what it is, this one, but I would like to in the future. Yes. Court says, do you have a copy of it? I have an iPad that I can provide to Mr. Steele, says the government, that will have it, and I'll pull it up for him now, if Mr. Steele is okay with us proceeding while we do that. Court says, Ms. Miser, okay, thank you, Your Honor. We can take that down now. All right. Yeah. Questioning continues. Where are you from? Virginia Beach, Virginia. How far did you go to school? A bachelor's degree. I had the same question. I wanted to know what her level of education was. Okay. Side note. A bachelor's degree. What was your degree in? Studio art. I'm going to show you what's in evidence as government's exhibits 2A-101. Okay. Do you recognize who is depicted here? Yes. Who is that? Sean Combs. Do you know Mr. Combs by any other names? Yes. What's his names? P. Diddy, Diddy, Puff Daddy, Puff, Puff, PD, Mr. C. What did you call him? Puff. How do you know Mr. Combs? I worked for him. When you worked for him, did Mr. Combs give you one title or more than one? More than one. How many? 2. What were those titles? Personal assistant, then director of development and acquisitions for Revolt Films. We will discuss each of those roles in a moment, Mia. But first, at a high level, could you describe what the work environment was like when you were working for Mr. Combs? It was chaotic. Could be toxic. It could be exciting. The highs were really high and the lows were really low. What determined what the environment was like on a particular day? Puff's mood. How often did Mr. Combs' mood shift? All the time. Give me 1 second, y'all. Hold up, y'all. Let me fix something real quick. Okay. This is still going on. She says all the time. Okay. Oh, come on, make this smaller. Sorry, there we go. Mia, was Mr. Combs ever violent towards you? Yes. What are some of the violent things that Mr. Combs had done to you? He has thrown things at me. He has thrown me against the wall. He had thrown me into a pool. He had thrown an ice bucket on my head. He had slammed my arm into a door. He has also sexually essayed me. Mr. Combs sexually essayed you. You on one occasion or more than one occasion? More than one occasion. We will talk about this violence in more detail later, Mia. Before we get here, I want to talk a little bit about your work experience before getting a job with Mr. Combs. What were your career goals when you left college? I really loved storytelling and film and TV, especially comedy. I really wanted to be a writer and a performer, but I didn't know how to do that because this was like a different era before social media, iPhones, or access. So I thought I could just put a mattress on top of my car and move to New York City and get a job somehow in the entertainment industry and work really, really, really hard. And maybe in like 10 years, I would have had the education and the experience to navigate that world to make whatever those dreams were come true. At some point, did there come a time when you got a job in the entertainment industry? Yes. What was that for initially? First, was the Georgina chat was with First was for Georgina Chapman, who was the owner and designer of Marchesa. I think that's a brand. Or Marquesa. Anyways. Sorry, y'all. Marquesa, who were Georgina's Chapman's clients. It was all like red carpet celebrity dressings. Where did you work next? I worked for the comedian Mike Myers. What did you do for Mike Myers? I was his personal assistant. Who did you work for after Mike Myers? Puff. Approximately, when did you begin working for Mr. Combs? In 2009. 2009. In what year did you leave Mr. Combs' company? 2017. I want to talk about when you first got the job with Mr. Combs. How old were you when you applied to work for him? When I applied, I was either 25 or just turned 26. Where were you living at the time? In New York City. Where was Mr. Combs' business located then? He was also in New York City. Give me one sec, guys. Sorry, y'all. Okay. And then I had somebody at my door. Okay, she was asked, let's see, hold up. She was asked, how old were you when you applied to work for Mr. Combs? When I applied, I was either 25 or just turned 26. Where were you living at the time? In New York City. Where was Mr. Combs' business located then? He was also in New York City. What were the steps in the hiring process? I met with the recruiter multiple times, and then I had multiple interviews with the head of HR, Vashta Wilson. Okay. And then after that, I had an interview with his chief of staff and an executive assistant and a head of personal finance. Who was his chief of staff at the time? Her name was Ellie Nieves. Ellie Nieves. Let me highlight that name. Her name was Ellie Nieves. What about the executive assistant? Carlene Roy. Finally, who was the person in personal finance? Tony Bias Fletcher. Exhibits are pulled up. Who is this, Mia? That is Tony Bias Fletcher. Did Miss Fletcher have any other titles when you were there? Yes. What? Chief of staff? Take that down, Miss Foster. Mia, were you ever interviewed by Mr. Combs himself? Yes. Where did the interview take place? At his apartment. Did anyone accompany you to his apartment? Yes. Who? Vesta Wilson? The head of human resources? Yes. What happened when you got to Mr. Combs' apartment? He answered the door on the phone. Who answered the door? Sorry, Puff. What was he wearing when he answered the door? His underwear. What did Vesta do when Mr. Combs answered the door in his underwear? Just introduced me and then left. Did Mr. Combs eventually put on his clothes? Yes. Who else was around for the interview? Derek, his stylist at the time, was in the apartment. What is Derek's last name? Roach. Derek Roche. Guys, somebody dock that name because I have a feeling that these are people that are also either taking immunities or witnesses or something, okay? Let me write that down. I've highlighted most of them. Did you ultimately get the job? Yes. How did you feel about getting the job? I was so excited and I was so excited, so nervous, and just really eager and excited, I guess. When you took the job, how much did you expect to work? I was explained that it would be a lot, that there were a few jokes about 24-hour nail salons thrown in, but I guess I didn't fully understand. Yeah, I did expect to work more than an average job. Did you expect to work more than 24/7? I thought that was like probably physically impossible, but yes. So not literally, but okay. Government continues. But how much had you worked for Mike Myers? He also said 24/7, but really, I mean, maybe every once in a while I would get a call at 7 or maybe on the weekends and I would have to watch his dog, but it was pretty much like 10 to 6 every day, Monday through Friday. Were you supposed to have any days off with Mr. Combs? Yes. Did you expect to work on the weekends? Not the weekends. I thought that there would be like a rotation of assistants, but I didn't expect not to work at all on the weekends, if that makes sense. What was your base salary when you started as a personal assistant? Well, I was told it was 55,000, but then it turned out to actually be 50,000. Oh gosh. And then you started the job. How many hours a week did you understand that you were expected to work to earn your salary? 40. How often did you work more? How often did you work more than 40 hours a week? Every week. And how much were you supposed to be compensated when you worked more than 40 hours a week? Paid overtime. I want to talk about the first day of work, Mia. What's the first thing you did on the first day of work for Mr. Combs? Well, I went to his office, and Vasta told me that I probably wouldn't see Puff for the next 2 weeks while I was on trial. And I was going to get accustomed to the office and all sorts of things, and went into making his life much of a, and all sorts of things that went into making his life run smooth. Let me just pause you right there, Mia. You said while you were on trial. What do you mean by that? It was Vashta had said that there would be so many people um, spying, excuse me, vying for this position. That is it dying or vying? I think there's a typo here. That there would be so many people dying for this position that they had a trial period that would last 2 weeks to see if you, I guess, like had what it took essentially. And where did Vashta tell you to go? To his Alpine, New Jersey house? And what did you do at the Alpine house? Just at a high level. They told me, I don't know, to do like some sort of inventory or take note of what needed attention. Did you go there? Yes. Approximately how long were you at the Alpine house? Well, I was there all day. I left there. It was dark, but it wasn't super late. Like maybe, yeah, like just had been dark out. And where did you go after the Alpine house? Back to the office. And how long were you at the house? Probably like a few hours, or it didn't feel super long. Yeah. And how and what time is it around this time? For some reason I feel like it was 10 when I left because I was meeting with new people and learning stuff. Where did you go after that? Home? Did you make it home? No. Why not? Vasa called me and said that Puff wanted me to come to the studio. What did you do after you got the call? I went straight to the studio. How long were you at the studio? Until like 1 the next day in the afternoon? Did you get to go home after that? After being at the studio until 1 p.m. the next day? No. Where did you go instead? Puff's apartment. And what did you have to do there? I was learning that we all, so like his security and his assistants and whoever needed to, whenever Puff was ready to essentially settle in, you went back and made sure that everything he needed, that they were showing me how to set up. And yeah. And when did you go? And when did you, excuse me, and when did you get to go home? A few hours after that. How long were you able to be home before you had to return to work? I don't remember the exact time. I just remember being too nervous to risk it, like taking a nap because the time period wasn't that long. So essentially just to kind of rest and then get ready again. So Mia, how much did you sleep during your first 24 hours on the job? I didn't. What did you think about that? I sort of took it like a challenge, or maybe this was just for the trial period, or maybe it was like, I don't know. It was kind of like this is how it is. But there had to have been a TV show 2 years prior called I Want to Work for Diddy, where it looked like this fit the norm. So I don't know. I thought maybe it was part of the trial. When you were working for Mr. Combs, how often were you required to go without sleep? All the time. What if any expectations did you have about when you would be able to sleep next? At that was the thing. Like, I didn't. I can't usually power I can usually power through, but like I remember when I was younger waking up for school being tired, and I would be like, "Okay, Mia, you get out at 3, you can sleep then." Your Honor, non-responsive, Steele. It's overruled, so Steele objected somewhere over here, okay? Shout out to everybody, guys. I will acknowledge the chat. Well, let me acknowledge it now. Raven Willow Dragon, thank you for becoming a member. Personal Page, thank you for becoming a member. And Ginny, thank you for becoming a member. Shout out to you guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Make sure you guys are hitting the like button, please, and thank you. Let's keep going. She's told she can continue. I remember thinking, like, let's say I had been awake for 2 days or something. I didn't have anything to hold on to because I didn't have an idea of when that could happen, when I can go to sleep. What was the longest period of time you went without sleep because of your work for Mr. Combs? 5 days? Generally, what were you doing in those 5 days? Working. We were traveling. I just remember the last part being in Las Vegas. So there was always a million things going on. I remember he had a club appearance, but also he had a few impromptu music video sets. So you're running around doing whatever needed to be done. Were you taking any medication at the time that had the effect of helping you stay awake? Yeah, I guess so. I've had ADHD. She has ADHD and had a prescription since I was like 17. I I took sorry, somebody's at the door. I take Adderall, so that helped me. Were you taking any particular kind of Adderall at that time? Yes. All right. Sorry, guys. Um, were you taking any particular kind of Adderall at that time? Yes. At that time, it was extended release. And what if any effects did that extended release Adderall have on you? It would allow me to, yeah, I guess it was much stronger than normal. So it allowed me to quasi function or stay awake. Why did you finally get to go to sleep? I had like a physical, and I guess I had like a physical breakdown. um like I remember just like my hearing went out, like it felt like I was underwater and my equilibrium was off, and I started not seeing things, but like blur vision or like lights that weren't there. And then out of nowhere, like didn't mean to, but I burst into tears hysterically and was like, I couldn't stop crying. Did anyone tell you you could go to sleep at that point? Yes. Who? Puff. Why did you not sleep before that? Because I was working. All right. Next, I want to talk about some of your duties as a personal assistant. Before I do that, I would like to direct your attention to the binder in front of you on the top there. Okay. Exhibits are shown. Could you please look up when you're done? Oh, sure. Do you recognize these documents? Mia? Yes. What generally are they? They're correspondences with me and Puff, and me and people that work with Puff. For Puff. And how do you know that? Because I recognize them, and I also see like our emails or phone numbers. Now, are they fair and accurate representation of your communication with Mr. Combs and various employees? Yes. Okay. Exhibits are offered. No objection. Hold up. Exhibits are offered. The court asks if objections. Steele says same objections will previously had and will rely on otherwise. Court says understood. So the exhibits are submitted under seal. Now, to be fair, Steele is saying right here they might have had and I'm pretty sure they did. They had a sidebar before to kind of object to a lot of this, but okay, they're still moving forward with it. Okay, and so exhibits are entered into evidence. Mia, could you please look through the other binder that's sitting on the left and look through and look up when you're done? Okay. And those are more exhibits. Do you recognize these documents? Yes. What did you say? Yes. Are they redacted forms of documents you just looked at in the other binder? Yes. Okay. So more government exhibits are listed. Okay. You could set those binders aside, Mia. Now I want to focus on some of your duties as personal assistant. Okay. More exhibits are pulled up. Mia, what is this? This was just a normal, this was just a brief, informal list of things, some of the responsibilities or things that I did on a daily basis that was appropriate to put in an email. And who did you send this list of responsibilities to? Tony Bias Fletcher. When did you send it? I sent it on November 10th, 2011. And why did you send this to Tony? Because I believe it was after a comment. I don't even know what you do all day. Comment from Puff. And then Tony, sorry. Okay, let me stop right here. She is being asked, why did you send this to Tony, who's head of finance? She responds, because I believe it was a comment. I don't even know what you do all day. And this was a comment that came from Puff. And then Tony, she says, and then Tony, sorry. Okay, the question continues. So Mr. Combs asks, what do you do all day? Is that right? Yeah. Just sort of, it was like a threatening. I don't know if it was a tactic, but Tony was like, okay, well, let's just send me this list so that this can't be said again. Okay, so they were going to send this list. Okay, let's focus on a few things that are in the document. All right, more exhibits are highlighted. Can you please read this, Mia? Yes, all of PD's social media presence. And who's PD? Puff. Did you help manage Mr. Combs' social media presence? Yes. Okay. Miss Foster, could you please highlight now where it says main liaison? And could you read that, Mia? Main liaison between PD and Hollywood. What was that part of your job too? It was. It became that. Okay. More Miss Miser tells Miss Foster to zoom out and highlight areas of the documents. Mia, what does that say? PD's daily routine. Keeping him on schedule. Any requests PD has either completing or tasks, make sure that it's done by others. Okay, Miss Foster, could you please turn to page 2? Was everything on this page also part of your job? Yes. Okay. And then more exhibits are highlighted. Mia, could you read this? Yes. Protect him at all times. His privacy, etc. Stay attached to BlackBerry 24/7. Staying with PD's eyesight unless he advises otherwise. Always while on duty. Listening, asking, hearing, prioritizing, and translating PD's situations. Maintaining PD daily routine in both professional and private circles from the minute he wakes up in the morning until the moment he falls asleep at night, and even in the interim, anticipating his needs, whims, and moods. Let me stop you right there, Mia. Why was it important to anticipate Mr. Combs' needs, whims, and moods? Because he dictated. It determined it dictated a day. Okay, more Miss Foster, zoom out. Could you please highlight the bottom where it says every single day is different? Could you please read that, Mia? Every single day is different. PD can ask you to do 17,000 things at one time that range from cracking his knuckles to writing his next movie to doing his taxes. He can also just have you standing next to him for 24 hours and not ask you one thing. Okay, you can take that exhibit down, Ms. Foster. Mia, when you started working as a personal assistant for Mr. Combs, did you have an apartment? Yes. Where was that apartment? It was in New York City. How often did you stay there when you worked for Mr. Combs? Not very often. My roommates made a joke that they lived with the ghosts. Where were you staying if you weren't in the apartment? Wherever Puff was. And what cities did Mr. Combs live when you were working for him? Besides New York, he lived in Los Angeles and Miami. So focusing first on Los Angeles, where did you stay when you were in Los Angeles? When I first started, I stayed in the staff house and then I moved into Puff's house at 9933 Beverly Grove. And focusing on Beverly Grove for a second, did Mr. Combs have that house before you started? Yes. And approximately what years did Mr. Combs live in 9933 Beverly Grove? When you were there? I believe he moved in 2010. So 2009 and 2010? Yes. And where did you live in LA after 9933 Beverly Grove? Then into his second house, 9374 Beverly Crest Drive. Approximately what years did Mr. Combs have at that home? I think it was 2010 until 2014, I think. Are you estimating? Yes. At some point, did you get your own apartment in Los Angeles? Yes. Approximately when was that? I believe it was 2013. And where did Mr. Combs move around in 2014 when he moved out of Beverly Crest House? He moved to Mapleton. What was the address? I believe it was 200 South Mapleton Drive. When Mr. Combs was in Miami, where did you stay? If I was lucky, the guest house. If not, the main house. Was that Mr. Combs' home in Miami? Yes. What was the address? Two Star Island. Mia, when you were in Mr. Combs' home, were you able to leave them whenever you wanted? Oh no. Why not? I wasn't allowed. I had to ask permission. And who would you have to ask permission? Puff. How did you learn that you needed Mr. Combs' permission to leave? Well, I one time, well, I thought I'm sorry. I thought that when I was, let's say everyone was asleep or I was quote unquote off the clock, that I could leave. But one night, I remember it was super late and it was like LA closed at like 2 or something in the morning and Puff had gone to bed and I was so desperate just to see some friends that I hadn't, I hadn't seen anybody outside of the world for a minute, and I left to go meet up with them somewhere after Puff was asleep, and I got in big trouble. And what happened when you got in big trouble? Security. I'm not sure exactly who it was, like called me and to let me know he was sending them to find me. And yeah, I I didn't realize I wasn't allowed to leave. Do you remember about when this was? I know it was at the first house. So 2009 to 2010 approximately. Yes. Mia, when you were living in Mr. Combs' home, were you allowed to lock your bedroom? No. Hmm. Why not? Because Puff said, like, this is my house. No one locks my doors. That's like, so my room was essentially not really, that was just a place that I was staying. It was still his house. Were there any other employees who lived in Mr. Combs' home when you did? Yes. Who generally? Whatever security was there with us. And was security regularly work and what security regularly worked for Mr. Combs when you were there? Uncle Polly, D-Rock, Bonds, and Rue. Did you know if security was allowed to lock their bedroom doors? Yes, they could. And how do you know that? Because the rooms were right next to mine, and one had a deadbolt, and the other one had a keypad where the cameras were. Were there other personal assistants working for Mr. Combs when you started work? Yes. How many? When I started, apparently there were like 3 had just left, so there was only one at a time. And who was that? His name was Malcolm McCraig. Malcolm McCraig. No, let me write this down. Malcolm McCraig name dropped. What was your understanding of how the number of personal assistants would change? I was told that they were actively objection, Mr. Steele. Oh, the court says overruled. Oh, you can answer. I was told, sorry, I was told that Vasta, I was told by Vasta that they were actively looking for more assistants because typically they had at least 4 or 5, something like that. So, yeah, so that, kind of thing, that kind of thing, like hang tight. We're filling in those roles ASAP. Approximately how long did Malcolm, the assistant who was there when you started, work for Mr. Combs while you were there? Like maybe 7 or 8 months? Where were you the only personal assistant when Malcolm left? Yes. So approximately for how long? A year. How did you feel when you were the only personal assistant? I didn't have time to feel, but like insane. What, if anything, did Mr. Combs tell you about being the only assistant? He pulled me to the side, sort of, and like this was just like going to be temporary, but that he, trusted me and he knew we could do this together and it would be like, it was sort of like an I believe in you, but like an awesome pep talk, and also positioned it in as though like we were going to be doing this as a team. He's like, I just need a second brain. Like I need somebody. And he believed in me and trusted me. And it was going to be hard and it was going to be crazy, but we were going to like get it through this, like through it. So it felt, I don't, I know how, I don't know how to explain it. It felt like a, like wow, like you believe in me, so I'm going to prove myself. Yeah. But yeah, but it was it difficult to be the only personal assistant? Yes. At some point, did Mr. Combs hire additional personal assistants? Yes. Who were some of the others that you worked for? Sienna Lee, Neil Dominique were the first assistants that came in. Like they stayed for a period of time. Okay, let's highlight those. And then later came Kala Flockner or Kayla Flockner. Okay. From what you could see, was your experience the same or different from these other personal assistants? Different. How did your responsibilities compare? I felt like I was responsible for everything, even though if somebody didn't do something they were supposed to do, regardless of how long they had been there, it somehow I got in trouble for it. I never got time off. They both of them, essentially Neil, especially Neil, had time off all the time. I was pushed if I had, excuse me, I was punished if I had. Let's say it was on the schedule that I had off and both of them had it. And if at 4 in the morning that changed, then Neil was given off for something. And then I was like held responsible for not, if I guess got the message a little too late, I didn't get it. I rarely ever got to like run errands. I just felt like I felt like I was bearing a brunt of everything. And that I could never get like a free moment. So you felt like you had more responsibility, like 1,000 times more. You mentioned that you sometimes got punished. What do you mean by that? I guess there's various ways of punishment. It was a lot of getting cursed at, humiliated, berated, but all my intelligence insulted, my job threatened quite a bit. And who did those things? Puff. Well, let's talk about them in more detail soon. But first, I want to ask you about a few different people. Okay, more exhibits get pulled up. Do you recognize this person, Mia? Yes. Who is it? George Kaplan. And what was George Kaplan's role? I believe he was the executive assistant at the beginning, and I think Brian Ofert, an executive, and then I believe that he transitioned to being a personal assistant to Puff. Was he a personal assistant to Mr. Combs before or after you? After. Okay. More exhibits. Do you recognize this person? Who is it? Do you recognize this person? Yes. Who is it? Ryan Lopez. And what was Ryan Lopez's role? Hold up, y'all. documenting this. He was a personal assistant to Puff before or after you? After me. Okay. More exhibits are pulled. Do you recognize this person? Yes. Who is it? Ellie Maroon or Marone? Did Ellie Marone perform any assistant duties? Yes, he did. For whom? For Puff. Is that before or after you were personal assistant? After. Okay. Miss Foster, could you please display just for the court these exhibits? Do you recognize this person? Yes. Who is it? David Shirley. And how do you know? And how do you know? From the picture. Do you know him from working for Mr. Combs? Oh, yes, sorry. Yes, I'm sorry for working for Puff. Okay. And is it fair and accurate representation of Dave Shirley? Yes. Okay, Your Honor. All of these are offered into exhibits and admitted. Okay. What was Mr. Shirley's role? I believe he was also an assistant role for Puff. And before or after you? After. Okay, you could take that down, Miss Foster. All right, Mia, you testified earlier that your title, your next title after personal assistant was director of development for Revolt Film. Is that right? Yes. What is Revolt Film? Revolt Film was a production company that Puff and I started together. How, if at all, did Revolt Film differ from Revolt TV? They were completely separate. They were just names similar for branding purposes. What was Revolt TV? Revolt TV was a network. When approximately did you become the director of development of Revolt TV, or excuse me, film? Well, the official title was granted in 2013. Had you been doing some film work before that? Yes, a lot of it for about 2 years. And at this point in time, in 2013, had you been a personal assistant for approximately 4 years? Yes. So you had done about 7 or 8 months of work with Malcolm, right? Yes. And then a year on your own, right? Mm-hmm. And then some personal assistants joined. Yes. How many people were working for Revolt Films at the time you made the transition? It was just me. And did why did this transition happen? Because I had been doing, so essentially I was running his film production company and I had to beg for it. It had been for years. And it had been being kept promise. And then finally, I believe new executives in the office came in and helped it move along. Did you want to work for Revolt Films? Yes. Why? Oh, because that was my dream. That was like I was doing, even though I had to still do all of the insane assistant duties or just be the next to him. Like the joy that I would get out of doing the TV and the film was overwhelmingly awesome. So when you started with Revolt Films, were you still performing personal assistant duties? Yes. What was your base salary with Revolt? 70,000. And how did that change over time, if at all? Well, eventually, I believed a few years later, it was like up to 100,000. Were you supposed to be paid anything in addition to the base salary? Yes. What was that? Bonuses per project? Did you always get those bonuses? No. What were just some of your responsibilities with Revolt at a high level? At a high level, it was identifying projects for investment purposes. So to get like EP credits for Puff and developing and creating our own projects as vehicles for Puff to start in as well. Okay. The court interrupts and says, Ms. Miser, yeah, can we take a break here, Your Honor? Okay. The court says, let's take a short little break. We'll come back in a few minutes. All right. So there's a break here and the jury rises. Now, let's see what happens here. I want to see if there's a sidebar. Okay. Oh, wow. There is no sidebar. Wow. Huh. There was no sidebar during that break. They just took a break. Okay. I'm a little surprised. Wow. Hold up. I got to store my coffee. Oh my God. I just splashed on myself. Hold up. Okay. Let's get Mia back. Mia back on direct. Okay. Please be seated. Let me put a little marker here so I know. And let me look at the chat real quick. Thank you so much. Is it Louisa Kim? Hello from South Korea, Rabbit. Thank you for doing this. Oh my God. South Korea? I don't remember if I've ever had a super sticker from South Korea. Thank you, Louisa Kim. Thank you so much for this. Aw, That really means a lot. Thank you, guys. Make sure you guys are hitting that like button. Oh my goodness. Thank you. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Questioning continues. Thank you. I appreciate everybody that's here. Hold up. Now, let me do one more thing before I forget. I forgot to add this to the chat. I see my beautiful, wonderful mods doing all of this, but I'm going to add this here. And I'm going to pin this real quick for anybody that wants to continue to support. There it is on the chat box. All right. Okay, Mia, before we broke, you were just talking about some of your responsibilities with Revolt Film. When you got the new title with Revolt, where were you physically working primarily? I was still working out of his house. Whose house? I'm sorry, Puff's house. Okay. And at some point, did you stop working primarily in Mr. Combs' house? Yes. Approximately when was that? I believe it was probably like late 2015, like somewhere around then. And then there was a kind of a time period where it would be like offices, his house, office, his house. And then eventually it was like the office mainly after, I think around the end of 2016, something like that. End of 2015 or end of 2016, end of 2015, end of 2016, somewhere around there. Yes. Next, I want to transition to a new topic. Okay. More evidence to display. Mia, do you recognize the person depicted here? Yes. Who is it? It's Cassandra Ventura. Do you know Miss Ventura by any other name? Yes. What? Cassie or Cass? Is that what you called her? Yeah, I called her Cass. How do you know Cassie? I met her working for Puff. And how would you describe your relationship with Cassie? We became like sisters, like best friends. Are you still friends today? Yes. Okay. Can you take that down, Miss Foster? Okay. So when you were working for Mr. Combs, what was your understanding of his relationship with Cassie? That was that she was his girlfriend? How often did you see Cassie and Mr. Combs together when you were working? All the time. At a high level, how would you describe the relationship? It was a cycle of like highs and lows. It was unequal, toxic. When I say abusive, I don't mean that she had any, it was like it was like abusive towards her. Ooh, peep this. No objection from the defense, okay? Was there any violence in the relationship? Yes. We'll talk some more about that soon. First, what was Cassie's profession? She was a recording artist. In your role as a personal assistant for Mr. Combs, did you have exposure to aspects of Combs' music career? Yes. Generally, what exposure did you have? All of the executives or people doing business with or for Puff would send all of their any sorry, I had somebody come in my door. Sorry, y'all. Um, hold up. Oh, I lost my place. All of the executives or people doing business with or for Puff would send their anytime they needed an answer through me in order to get the answers for him. So I saw all types of correspondence, emails, and I was constantly with him in meetings with her. So, I mean, I was pretty privy to a lot of what's going on. From what you saw, what was the relationship between Cassie's music career and Mr. Combs' businesses? She was signed to his label. And what, if any, role did Mr. Combs himself play in her music career? He was in charge of it. And what kind of things did you see Mr. Combs do related to Cassie's music, to Cassie's career? He always made the final decision. And what kind of final decision did you observe? That could range anywhere from deciding like the music would be out, what the visual aspects of any music videos, then she would be in the studio, her appearance, and sort of a show or appearance or dates or promotions that she would be involved with. More exhibits. Mia, what are we looking at here? This is an email from Cass to Puff and a number of executives or people involved in her music career and me. Okay. Um, could you zoom in, Miss Foster, to the message on the bottom? So this says it is from Veronica Bang. Who is that? It's Cass. And who did Cassie send this message to? She sent it to Puff, Gwen Niles, Harv Pierre, Capricorn Clark, Matthew Testa, James Cruz, and me. Let's highlight these names. And you said those people were involved in Cassie's music career? Yes. When did Cassie send this message? April 21st, 2012? At around what time? It says 7:30, but it was actually like 4:36 in the morning because we were in Los Angeles. If you know, where was Cassie that night? In my memory, I believe they were at a hotel. Who was um who was she with at the hotel? Puff. Do you have a term for this kind of night from your working with Mr. Combs? Yeah, we call them hotel nights. We'll talk about more about hotel nights soon. But first, focusing on the email, what was the subject line? It says, "Thank you, team, dot, dot, dot." And can you please read what Cassie said in the email? For everything. Okay, she starts reading. For everything, with regret, I have been informed that I cannot perform on Monday due to overages and costs. I work very hard, but I cannot support myself on the things that I need in order to move forward and make the show happen, run smoothly. I appreciate everyone, and I hope that you can understand. Again, I'm very sorry, and I'm doubly sorry for any drama that I have caused at Bad Boy and Interscope or at Interscope. I've tried my very best, but I wish everyone the best. Anyone not attached on this email, I will contact directly so not to disrupt anyone's travel or schedule. Thank you. And this email mentions Interscope. Do you know what that is? Yes. What is that? It was like a bigger record label record publishing company that Bad Boys was signed to. Oh, Baby Bunny's mad. Could you zoom out, Miss Foster? And did Mr. Combs respond to this message? Yes. Could we zoom into the next two emails? Mia, would you please read his response? Make sure you uh Slevin Hill and let him know you're not ready and you do not want to embarrass yourself. What you let Stephen Hill, I think that's what it means. Make sure you let Stephen Hill and let him know. Make sure you, Stephen Hill, and let him know that you're not ready and you do not want to embarrass yourself. Do you have an understanding of what a Stephen Hill means? He's referring to Stephen Hill, so there's a typo there. Okay. Who was Stephen Hill? He was the president of BET at the time. Can you zoom out, please? Okay. And Mia, would you mind reading his response? If there was an issue, I would. So since you no longer want to support your artist, I have to pull out. No label support, no show. No. Okay. Can you zoom out? And what did you do after these emails? I forward them to Tony. And you mentioned earlier that Tony was the chief of staff. Is that right? She was. I don't know when her title like officially switched, but she operated in that position before. And what was she before chief of staff? She was the head of personal finance, but she was still straddling both worlds, like the office and the personnel. So she was involved in a lot, like helping navigate dramatic situations or just kind of someone you could go to if that makes sense. Why did you forward the emails to Tony Fletcher? Well, because I had to keep Tony aware of everything that was going on. And because like Tony, not everything going on. Excuse me. Well, because I had to keep Tony aware of everything going on and because like Tony, not everything going on. Sorry, anything that she was in charge of booking hotels. So she had to keep her aware of possible something happening. There's the way in which this is typed, or maybe it's the way she's speaking. So she had to keep her aware of possibly something happening. She was also because all those other people were on copy. I knew that it would get to her anyways. So this situation would have affected other situations or other plans that were in place. So I just keep her alert of the things. Oh wow. That I was like allowed to. Give me 1 second, guys. Sorry about that, guys. I had to run. Um, so she had to keep Tony alert. So just keeping her alert of things that I was like allowed to. So you were saying because Cassie had an email other people involved in her career, you need to keep Tony in the loop. Also, yeah, those people work like in the office too. Excuse me. So yeah, keeping her in the loop of everything was going on. When did you send this email? At about 4 a.m. ish. Okay. Can you zoom out of that? Mia, do you know whether Cassie ended up performing? I believe she did. Was Cassie involved in any other professional projects besides music when you were working with for Mr. Combs? Yes. Was what was she involved in? She was also an actress. And what was your role, if any, related to her acting career? I helped her navigate. I helped her navigate the world. I helped her find representation. I would help her find projects. I would run lines with her, go with her to auditions, go with her to set if she was shooting. What, if anything, did you see Mr. Combs do related to Cassie's acting career? He wanted, or he was very involved in that, like final decision, the final decisions. Mm-hmm. Was there ever a time when Mr. Combs would come to Cassie's sets? Yes. What, if anything, happened when you, uh, what, if anything, happened when he was on the set? Objection, Your Honor. Timeline. Court says, can we be a little bit more specific? Sure. Approximately when was Cassie doing these acting roles? Well, she did The Perfect Match, premiered in about 2015 was the year. So around 2015, did you ever see Mr. Combs on a movie set? Yes. What, if anything, did you do on the set? Did he do on the set? Well, production would be really overwhelmed because they were kind of have to stop everything. And he would, I don't know. Everyone would be really nervous and he would ask a lot of questions and sort of insert himself. Did things come to a stop on the set? Yes. Shifting gears a little bit. What, if anything, was Mr. Combs' role related to Cassie's appearance from what you saw? He was like in charge of it. In what way? Well, she had to get approval for like she would have to try on an outfit and he would send photos. We would send photos for approval of what she could wear. And I've had to send photos of like her nails at the nail salon, her hairstyle, things like that. And who were you sending those photos to? Puff. Why are you sending them to Mr. Combs? Because he's asking for them. During your time working for Mr. Combs, did you ever have any exposure to Cassie's finances? A bit, yeah. And what was the exposure you had? I knew that the exposure was that I knew that. Sorry. So, how did, like Tony, for example, I knew that the office paid for her credit cards. And how did you know that? At that one time I was with Cass and Tony asked me, like, she said, I'm in a bind. Do you have any cash that you can objection from Mr. Steele? The court says, let's get a new question. Maybe you can rephrase. Yes, no problem. So we were just focused on the credit cards, but was there anything else that you exposed to, that you had exposure to with regards to Cassie's finances? Yes. What was that? I knew that had that he had the places that she lived were under like his company's name and as well as her cars. Were there ever times where you saw Mr. Combs take anything away that he had paid for? All the time. What kinds of things did he take away from Cassie? Her car, her jewelry, her support, things like that. And generally, when did you see him take those things away? When he was upset, or if he couldn't like let her say get her the phone or something like that? How would Cassie react when that happened? She wouldn't do like let it happen. Like, how often were you with Cassie when you were working for Mr. Combs? As much as I was allowed to, a lot, all the time. And who decided whether you were allowed to be with Cassie or not? Puff. How did this time with Cassie related to how did this time relate how did this time with Cassie relate to your job responsibilities, if at all? How did they relate? Like, I mean, everything I was told to do, I guess, my job responsibilities. Let me ask you this. What did Mr. Combs tell you to do when you went to be with Cassie? Sometimes it would be like go help Cass. Sometimes it would be to, like accompany her to things. But a lot of times it would be to keep her, like sort of keep her tabs on her and be able to get in touch with her um, through me or check up on her. So Mr. Combs could check up on her. Yes. And so was it part of your job to spend time with Cass? Yeah. I had to do everything that he told me to do. That who told you to do? That Puff told me to do. And when you and Cassie were together, were you able to go wherever you wanted, whenever you wanted? No, no. Why not? Because he had to get, I mean, he had to be wherever Puff told us we could be. And that would maybe, and what would, excuse me, and what would happen if you and Cassie did something without Mr. Combs' permission? It would not something really bad, like very scary. When you say very scary, like what kinds of things are you talking about? We would be in trouble, like the punishment was typically unpredictable, but it was typically pretty terrifying. We'll talk about that some more once we get through your testimony. But from what you could see when you were with Cassie, how would Mr. Combs communicate with her when he was not physically around her? Like phone, text, email, having other people call, or through me. Did you say if I was with her? Yeah, when you were with her, or like through me, or through me. And who else besides Mr. Combs would contact her? Anybody within Puff's earshot, whoever he told to get in touch with her. What happened if Cassie did not answer the phone when Mr. Combs would call? Then there would be multiple calls, texting, emails, her trying to find him, or like security would show up if like she didn't and he couldn't find her that way. Earlier, Mia, you mentioned that the relationship between Mr. Combs and Cassie was violent. Is that right? Yes. Did you personally see any violence? Yes. What kind of things did you see? I saw a lot of like aftermath, like injuries she had. I saw and heard like objection. Okay. Miss Meiser, can we get a more focused question? Yes. Yeah. Okay. So when you started working with Mr. Combs, you were around Mr. Combs and Cassie. What if any kind of violence did you yourself see? I've seen her attack her. I've seen him throw her on the ground. I've seen him like crack her head open. Okay. And I've seen him chase her, things like that. Let me pause right here. So the way that this is being written, and I'm thinking she's getting very nervous at this time, right? When she's saying these things. So I think that this is maybe part of like the pausing. There's constant pausing in this. Okay. Didi, thank you so much for gifting 5 memberships. Thank you. Appreciate it. If you've been blessed by Didi, please put some hearts in the chat. Kathy T, thank you so much for the 199. And Naughty Rudolph, I feel like you have been a member, but you're a new member. But thank you for renewing your membership. Thank you. Let's see. Hold up. Okay, let's continue. Have you ever seen Cassie fight back? No. I have just seen her like put her arms up and like beg for him to stop. And approximately how many times have you seen this violence or signs of violence, like injuries you just mentioned? I don't know. Like it was all the time. I don't have a number. When was the first time you saw or heard physical violence between Mr. Combs and Cassie? I was in 9933 Beverly Grove Drive. So like 2009 or 2010. What is the first thing you remember hearing when you were there? I remember upstairs, like a loud, like thuds, and that's what it sounded like something hitting the wall. And the way that the second floor was, you can look down into the foyer from it, and there were his bedroom was, and up on the second floor. And I just remember seeing suitcases being thrown over like into the foyer. Did you see Cassie sometimes after that, after the suitcases were thrown? Yes. Where was she? She was outside hiding and crying and shaking like like behind a bush. And what, if anything, did she do when you saw her? She looked at me like she had the most terrified look in her eye and was kind of like waving her hands, like, don't look, essentially. Like, I'm going to be as if I'm hiding, like, don't, like, act like I'm not even here type of deal or thing. Whew. After you saw Cassie waving her hand outside, what did you do? I retreated. Um, Sorry. Like, I was still outside, but I followed like her instructions. I went away, but I was still like outside, just pretending like I didn't see her. Did you tell anyone about this incident? No, I didn't know what was happening. I went inside and I think I just, at the time the chef was in the kitchen. I don't remember what I said exactly because I was so confused as to what was going on. And this sentiment was something like, don't. Objection. Um, that's sustained. What did the chef say to you, if anything? Objection. It's not for the truth, Your Honor. Hold on, it's sustained. What are some of the locations after this where you saw or heard violence between Mr. Combs and Cassie? At his houses, her apartments, hotels, events, traveling on vacation. Um, let's talk about those few moments. You mentioned that something violent happened in Cassie's apartment. Is that right? Yes. Did that happen one time or multiple occasions? The time that stands out to me, like I have one, you mean? Like when I was present? Yeah. Um, is there one that sticks out in your mind? Yes. Let's talk about that. Which apartment was Cassie living at the time? She was living at the Doheny in Los Angeles. When approximately was this? Do you remember? It was definitely the second LA house when I lived there. I just don't remember the exact year. At the Beverly Crest houses that you were living at the time? Yes. Sometime between 2011 to 2014. It would have been earlier than 2014 because she moved into another apartment. I think it was 2013. What time of day was it when you were all in Cassie's apartment that day? I feel like it was earlier in the evening. I think it was like dark out, but it wasn't super late. Who was all there? It was me, Cass, and Deonte Nash. Oh, corroboration right here. Okay. Who's Deonte Nash? He was her stylist, but also like her friend, but also her stylist. Okay. What were you and Cassie and Deonte doing that night? Helping Cass pack for a big trip. I think it was to London the next morning. Did there come a time when Deonte came to the apartment? Yes. And what happened when he got to the apartment door? He was like banging at the door, like very irate. I think he had a key. At some point, did he get inside? Yes. Did you remember exactly how he got inside? I feel like he got a key from the front desk. That's what my feeling is because he tried to talk to the doorman multiple times. Objection from the defense. We can move on. All right. When Mr. Combs gets into the apartment, what if anything was he saying? He was like screaming at Cass, but like asking like, have you been, and then screaming, have you been drinking at her because she didn't answer the phone? How close was he to Cass when he got into the apartment? Very close. I'm seated here. My back is to like the balcony, and in front of me, like where you are, is like the entrance of the apartment, and it opens up to like a area combined with the kitchen, and where the apartment entrance is, like where you are, and the walls to Cassie's bedroom. And Cass was pretty close to the door on the wall, so she was probably like a couple of feet away from the entrance to the right, to my right. What, if anything, did Mr. Combs do when he was yelling about her drinking? He was He then came after me, like, and Deonte was screaming at the same time, like, has she been drinking? And he was super upset. Has she been drinking? And he was like crazy aggressive. And then he started to attack her. What did you see when he started to attack her? Like, he threw her on to the ground. I saw. How did you react when Mr. Combs threw Cassie to the ground? I feel like me and Deonte like immediately jumped in and tried to stop it because we were all alone, as in like his, yeah, we just jumped in to try to help. When you say you jumped in, what did you do? I feel like we were both trying to get him off her, but in this quick, I mean, I don't know how to do that. Like, I don't know. Deonte is very small in comparison to Puff, and it happened so fast. But there was some sort of, I don't know, like little tornado going on. And at some point, he had Deonte in like a position where I was like scared he was going to like K him, and I jumped on his back. What did Combs do when you jumped on his back? He threw me like against the wall, like so quickly and so easily. Like, I realized we were in real danger. How fast was this all happening? It was so fast, but it felt like I was in slow motion, but it was really fast. What did Mr. Combs do after he threw you against the wall? He immediately like almost like slow motion, like I was sliding down the wall of some sorts. The bedroom was to my left, and he immediately ran in, and I saw him grab Cass, and I couldn't get there fast enough. Underneath her bed was like this wood, like a wood bed platform, and the corner was like the sharpest, strongest corner I've ever seen. And I just saw him like pick her up, and I thought he's going to kill her. And he like slammed her head in the corner like of the bed. What injuries did Cassie have as a result of Mr. Combs slamming her head into the bed? She just started like gushing blood, and she had ended up like a pretty big like scar um on her forehead. What did Mr. Combs do after Cassie's head had split open? He was immediately snapped into like this protector survivor mode. He told me like get Kala, and who was the assistant at the time, who had relationship with the doctors, get Kala on the phone and tell him to get Dr. So and so, and tell him that Cassie needs to see him immediately because she was drunk and fell and hit her head. What did you do after Mr. Combs told you to call Kala? I called Kala. Why did you do that? Because I thought that was the only way to get her help, and because Puff told me to. Stepping back a moment, how did Mr. Combs appear when he was in Cassie's apartment? It's like his eyes turned black, and there was like no getting through. I was just trying to get him to stop, and it was like he was looking through me, and it was like the first time I realized the severe damage that we were actually in. Excuse me, the severe danger that we were actually in. He was like completely like, okay, court says next question. All right, let me stop right here because I have to stop. I'm going to do a pre-recorded on this. And I'm noticing the camera's acting a little bit weird. So hopefully everything's okay. I'm going to be doing a pre-recorded on this probably tonight. See if I can drop it tomorrow since I've already gotten through so much. But I hear Baby Bunny calling me, and I got to tend to my child. All right. I've been online all day, so I got to tend to my child. But I will see you guys tomorrow. I know you're like, oh man, Rabbit. I promise y'all, I will drop the rest. I have so many to complete. But this one right here is definitely, it's shorter now. I definitely can get through an hour of it and finish it like that. I just can't do it right now, y'all, because I got to go tend to my child. Y'all know mommy duties call first. But do me a favor, hit the like button, please. And thank you. It was a lot. Hit the like button. And let me shout out somebody who also just donated thank you so much. To the person, hold up, let me see. Kimberly, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you, Kimberly. Or Kim, I got it. Thank you. All right, I'll see you guys mañana in the morning. All right, bye guys. Hit the like button. Bye guys.